didn't many Americans push for reform during the 1830s and 40s? In the 1830s and 40s, a series of reforms would lead to inhumane treatment in the workplace and the beginning of a women's rights movement. In this video, we will talk in detail about major events in the workplace in the 1830s and 40s, such as inhumane working conditions, better privileges the higher you are in workplace hierarchy, better working hours and pay, and the beginning of women's rights. Working conditions. In the 1830s and 40s, employees worked under harsh conditions, such as freezing temperatures, as most factories had no heating. And in the summer, the machine gave off heat, and that mixed with the humidity led to heat strokes of many employees. The machines that the employees worked with had many fast-moving parts, which in turn moved too fast and whipped the workers. The machines would release toxins and dust into the air of the factories, which would lead the workers to start getting asthma, bronchitis, and lung cancer. At the time, no laws regulated how the workers could be treated. Many of the employers cared more about profit than safety. Working hours and wages. The average worker at the factory would work from 11 to 13 hours per day with only 1/2 hour break, which in turn would cause fatigue and on-the-job accidents. Workers tried various ways to obtain better conditions in the workplace and better pay. The first union of America started in the 1830s in order to pressure the employer to give the employees better conditions and privileges, such as a 10-hour workday and gaining a higher wage. Employees would go on strike, which at the time was illegal and could lead the workers to lose their job. Workforce hierarchy. Employees were all paid the same no matter how long they had worked at the factory. So a brand new worker would work for the same wage just as someone who had been working there for 5 years. Unions would rally together against their employers so that there would be a workforce hierarchy in which the workers who have worked longer were valued more than the brand new workers. This was the beginning to higher pay and more rights and privileges for men. The birth of women's rights. Women faced discrimination in the workplace as well. The women were never given the same rights or privileges inside and outside the workplace. Their employers often paid the women only half of what they paid the men. The men discriminated the women from joining their unions. In the 1830s, Sarah G. Bagley created the Lowell Female Labor Reform Organization. They petitioned to the legislature for the same rights and privileges as men, but were denied by the legislature as they were women. Movements such as the one Sarah made paved and created the way for women's rights movement. Child labor. Child labor was a raging problem in the United States. Children that worked in factories often worked 6 days a week and worked 12 or more hours a day. The children had many dangers and hardships in the workplace. Children would almost always be picked instead of adults, as the children were cheaper to pay and were less likely to revolt against their employers. As reform kept on happening, conditions for children in the workplace improved drastically, such as shortened work hours and improved conditions.